John Cordy, and I did say that I would do some more stuff with the Powercab when it was appropriate, so I loaned this from Yamaha, line 6, Yamaha I guess, and I haven't had a chance to gig it, obviously, because there haven't really been gigs, but I'm going to be gigging it on Friday, and so I've been setting it up and, you know, trying to play it at volume and stuff in my room, and I found something which I think sounds as close to a real cab as you can get out of this thing. I compared it with a Mesa Widebody with a Seymour Duncan Power Stage, and to me it was close enough that the Powercab I'd be totally happy with. I'll report back after the gig, but I just wanted to share what I'm doing, so here's... That's kind of my rhythm tone, my clean tone. A little bit darker than usual. So that when I turn it up it doesn't become piercing. I'm using the Route 66 for that clean tone. And then I've got that same thing but with compression and like an ambient version of that. And then of course I've got a solo tone, so this is the litigator, same as the rhythm. So what I've got going on, I'll probably bring the camera over and show you on the Helix as well, but what I've got going on is on each signal path, the second signal path I've got split after the delay and reverb and going off to a separate output which is going to the Powercab, but I'm also using the Powercab in LF raw mode, so not FR mode, not LF flat, but LF raw. And what that essentially means is that the Eminence speaker in there has no processing on it, I believe, and it has the tweeter turned off, so that's the closest thing that it can get to being just a normal guitar speaker. It's got no processing going on in the speaker, as I say, and it's not pretending to be a flat range, flat response or anything like that, so it's just the Eminence guitar speaker raw in the cab and with no processing on it, and that to me was the most pleasing tone I've got out of it. I've experimented with some of the speaker sims in there as well. Using things like high cuts and stuff, you can get some cool stuff going, but I felt like that raw setting was just a bit more pleasing for me, and when it was on the floor behind me practicing in the room, it just feels a little bit more like an amp. There's a bit more kick in the low end, so that's the way that I'm going to run this thing. I think try it on Friday, I'll report back to see what I find. As I say, I tried it kind of A-B'd with the Seymour Duncan Power Stage, and to me this sounded just as good, so that's a cool thing. This weighs like 16 kilos, so nothing too heavy, and it integrates with the Helix really well because you've got the Line 6 link. So for me that was kind of the balance that I could balance it, worth being a bit more than a Power Stage and a normal cab. It's an extra piece of gear, so it needs to have a reason to exist. So I'll try it on Friday, I'll report back, but that's what I'd suggest trying. So if you're just on the Powercab itself, you can go into the mode at the top, so you press flat, you can be in speaker, user IR or flat mode, and then you come down to voicing, not FR, which sounds like this, sounds like that. Then there's LF flat, which has some processing on it to make it behave like a flat speaker. And then across from that you've got LF raw, which is what I was just playing there, which has apparently no processing on the actual speaker itself, so that's just how that Eminence speaker wants to sound. So maybe check that out, see if that works for you. I know there's a few different ways to run the Powercab, but that was just the one that for me felt and sounded most pleasing. That's what you heard in the intro. Obviously you're hearing it into a mic, so you've got that additional balance, but I was fairly happy with how that was sounding in the room. So you just heard essentially what people would hear through the PA, I guess. Although probably I'm just going to send out of the Helix to front of house as well with IRs. But yeah, I wasn't exactly sure how to demo how the thing sounds in the room. So a little bit tricky to get across in a video, but to me that sounds pretty pleasing in the room and feels pretty pleasing, and it is as close as the amp in the room thing as I've ever experienced, I think, with the Helix or, you know, a modeler generally. So speaker mode, flat, voicing, LF raw. Give that a try. LF flat equally I think sounds pretty good, but that does have a little bit of processing to try and give like a flat response speaker, like a neutral sounding guitar speaker, whatever that is. So hopefully that was vaguely interesting. Let me know how you're running your Powercab, if you are running one. I did notice that on the Fractal forums, even they like these, which is kind of interesting. And so yeah, possibly decent. You do need to hammer it with signal if you wanted to get good volume out of it. So that's another reason to have it on like a separate path where you can really boost that signal. I've got that boosted by 15 dB at the end of that signal chain going into here. So, you know, quite a substantial boost. Catch you in a little bit.